I don't know. We might as well start shooting from now.
Yeah, go on.
Apparently, Canelo turned down 70 million to fight Benavidez.
Canelo.
He turned down this week. Benavidez came out. He done an interview. I think. Who was the interview with? I think it was with Andre Ward. It was with someone. I think with Andre Ward.
Okay, that would make sense.
And he said that he wanted the Canelo fight from when Canelo fought Golovkin.
Yeah.
And he said, obviously when Canelo signed to Al Heyman, and obviously Benavidez was signed to Al Heyman, I don't know how you haven't seen it. Like it was going around like the last couple of days. And he was like, Canelo turned down 70 million or 80 million. In fact, this is a whole topic in itself.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, this sounds like a whole topic. Why are you just giving it as like a precursor? But go on, that's what I was confused about. All right, go on.
70 million to fight Benavidez.
Yeah.
Now, I have two questions about that.
Okay.
Firstly, now seeing what you're seeing Canelo do with Turkey, apparently he's making 150 million to fight Crawford. Was he justified to turn down the Benavidez fight?
I don't know if I believe there was 70 or 80 million to fight Benavidez.
Benavidez said he turned down 70 million.
Benavidez said Canelo turned down 70 million. Yeah, but Benavidez can say what he wants. I don't know if I believe that. Where's that money coming from?
Apparently Al Heyman. He gets paid 50 million a fight. He got paid 50 million to fight. He got paid 50
How much would Benavidez have made off that?
He said 5. He said he accepted.
Okay, maybe that's realistic.
He said he accepted 5 million.
Because I was going to say, I don't know if Canelo versus Benavidez generates $100 million.
He said he accepted 5 million.
Yeah.
And Canelo turned down 70 million. But Canelo made 50 million against Bivol.
That's different though. Bivol's a much bigger name than...
Not at that time though. Not at that time. People wasn't asking for Canelo to fight Bivol. People weren't
asking for it, but Bivol is still a bigger name than Benavidez.
Not Benavidez is now. Bivol got a lot of a bigger name after beating Canelo. Whereas Benavidez, bro, Stephen A. Smith done a video about it. Like, every week there's a clapback Thursday about my man ducking Benavidez. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think he's just scarred from fighting the big... I know he's fought Callum Smith, who's bigger. He's fought... who's the guy that Andre Ward beat? Kovalev. He beat Kovalev. But do you think that there's that fear factor of going back to that type of...
I mean, he lost to Bivol.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who was bigger.
Yeah.
I think there's that. But I also feel like if he loses to Benavidez, there isn't an excuse. There isn't a... When he lost to...
That's what I mean by bigger name. Like, maybe...
It's not even about name.
But I'm saying... That's what I'm saying name. I'm not saying name in terms of numbers and social media and notoriety. But Bivol was, before he beat Canelo, was still known as one of... He was in people's... Maybe not top 5 pound for pound like he is currently, but top 10 pound for pound.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope. I don't think so.
I think he was in that. He was high. He was rated highly.
No, he was, bro.
He was rated highly.
Not by the masses, bro.
But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about boxing fans. Like, Canelo's name can survive a loss to Bivol much better than it could survive a loss to Benavidez.
But I feel like that's because of their fan base and cultures overlap.
It's the same, yeah.
They're Mexican.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why he went for a long phase by saying he doesn't want to fight any Mexicans.
Yeah.
Because I felt like he knew he done that and fought Munguia because he knew he wasn't going to lose. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like he couldn't afford that loss. Yeah. So me reposing that question, if he did turn down 70 million, do you think now that you've seen Turkey offer him 150, do you think he was justified?
I mean, you can make the argument that obviously he's justified because you're going to make more money, right? Fighting Crawford. And again, Crawford is of higher caliber. It fits, you know, it's not even a question of justified or not justified. This just fits Canelo's MO. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to fight someone that is, like we said, you know, James said it all the time, the easiest fights for the most money. And Canelo, Crawford is a better boxer than Benavidez, but he's much, much smaller. So obviously he gets the advantage. I don't think it's a question of justified, because if it wasn't for this 150 million to fight Crawford, Canelo would have found someone else to fight and we'd be having a different conversation. It wouldn't have been the 70 million regardless.
But you know how boxing fans are, specifically Canelo fans. They're going to be like, well, I told you this is why he shouldn't have taken the fight in the first place. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, let me give you an example.
One of them was at his weight class. Okay, fine, he's just left 168, but he was fighting at 168 for a long time. So regardless of the money, the legacy to be the guy at 168, unless, like we said, you vacate the belts, you say, I'm not the guy at 168, and then you're just fighting for the money, and then that's a different conversation.
Because for me, in my opinion, even though he beat, even though he's going to fight Crawford and make 150 million, I still see it as a duck. Some people,
of course it's a duck.
I still see it as a duck.
Oh, if the question is he ducking, then yes, 100%. Because
there's genuinely people saying, he didn't duck, he's going after bigger money. He's going after the bigger payday in Crawford.
We're being silly. I mean, Canelo and Tank were the last like two people that were like, I'm not going to do business with Turkey. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, he couldn't gamble. When he made that original decision, facts.
Do you know what I mean? So that conversation wasn't even there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, he knew it was there in the back of his mind because Turkey was very vocal about wanting that fight. So he knew that it was there. But the reality is, the reason it's a duck is because if Canelo spends the next 3 or 4 fights beating Crawford and beating everybody else that's out there, he will not fight Benavidez. Canelo Alvarez will retire his career and never fight Benavidez. So that's why it's a duck, because you will never fight, not under any circumstances. You want to make an argument that AJ ducked Wilder or that Wilder ducked AJ or whatever argument. These AJ and Wilder would fight right now. There's not enough money to justify the fight, but they would fight. Canelo's never fighting Benavidez. It's never going to happen. We're never going to see it. He's never going to do it. If there's any option on the table, even for less than 70 million, he'll take that option before he fights Benavidez. That's why it's a duck.
Here's another question then. If you're looking at the current landscape of how much money Canelo's making now.
Yep.
When he said a couple of years ago, or about a year ago, 18 months ago, that he wants 200 million to fight Benavidez, why do you think he was saying that with the idea of Turkey? Because let's keep it real, bro. Turkey's that type of dude to call your bluff, you know. Turkey is that kind of, keep it real, bro. Turkey's that kind of dude that will say, cool, I'll give you it. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you think he had that in mind, or do you think he was just saying it purely and simply just?
I don't think it matters. The point is, whether you're trying to price yourself out of the fight or whether you're trying to not price yourself out, but price yourself at the absolute max, so that basically, if you take a loss, it's financially at least rewarded. That just shows that you are at least nervous about fighting this person. But it don't make a bit, for me personally, how I see Canelo, that don't make a difference to me.
But then, if what you're saying is true, getting in bed with Turkey is even worse.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. Because Turkey is that guy to offer you 200 million.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you get in bed with Turkey is even worse. Because you put that mark, because let's say, for example, he beats Crawford and he makes 150 million. And then Turkey goes, here's 200 million to fight Benavidez. You can't now turn that down because you publicly said that you'll fight Benavidez for 200 million.
Yep.
You can't then create another hurdle.
That's what I just said. I don't think we'll ever see him fight. He'll do a Tyson Fury and retire. We'll never see him fight Benavidez.
Fair.
Do you know what I mean? He will do whatever he can. That's why it's a duck. Do you mean he's just going to run out of excuses? If Turkey gives 200 million, Canelo fans are going to say, rehydration clauses or this or that, or do you know what I'm saying? They're going to talk some other.
That was yesterday's price, not today's price.
Now it's got to be 500. Tyson Fury saying he wants 500 million to fight AJ and all this kind of stuff. That's just, come on, bro.
So you feel like it was no negotiating tactics when he said 200 million?
It's not no negotiating tactics, bro. He don't want to fight Benavidez.
Eddie Hearn said that. That's the price. Eddie Hearn genuinely believes if he got offered 200 million, he will take the fight.
Yeah, potentially, but that's still telling me that that's like if AJ says, I'll fight Dubois. I know they've already fought. I'll fight Dubois, but it's got to be 120 million for me to fight Dubois. It's like, bro, obviously, we can all see that AJ is scared or nervous. If AJ fights Dubois, does he definitely lose? No, there's a world where AJ can win, potentially. I'm not saying he definitely loses, but is AJ clearly nervous to fight Dubois? Yes. Is Canelo clearly nervous to fight Benavidez? Yes. Do you know what I mean? He's going to look for other routes. Just like we're seeing AJ right now, at some point he might have to fight Dubois again. But he's looking for any other route before he fights Dubois. And it's the same thing with Canelo. All this kind of stuff, but whether he fights him, that's irrelevant. You're looking for any fight that isn't him, and you'll only take him if he's the last name that's available, the most money that's available. You're describing a duck. People often duck people and end up fighting them anyway. They just end up fighting them under different or specific circumstances. Do you know what I mean? Duck doesn't mean you never fight them. Do you know what I'm saying? It just means that, you're only going to fight them when they're this or when they're that. Do you know what I mean? It's like cherry picking. Deontay Wilder cherry picked Tyson Fury. It just didn't work out for him. Do you know what I'm saying?
I just feel like whilst what you're saying may be right, it's also I don't want to say maybe wrong, but it also, I don't feel like his recent actions because he clearly does have a figure in mind. Because for me, he didn't want the Crawford fight, but he's negotiated the deal for the Crawford fight. You know what I'm saying?
The Crawford fight I'm looking at the negotiations differently because Canelo is going to be the betting favorite against Crawford. He has the advantages. Do you know what I'm saying? When I'm looking at you negotiating if I'm looking at AJ negotiating to fight Bacoli, and I'm looking at AJ negotiating to fight Deontay Wilder, AJ is probably the favorite against Wilder. He's maybe not right now the favorite against Bacoli. So I'm judging how you conduct yourself in them conversations differently. Do you know what I'm saying? So like all of that stuff is irrelevant to me. I'm just seeing someone who is afraid to fight this guy. It looks like right now AJ is afraid to fight anyone who potentially is going to hurt him. That's all that's all I can see. His money, I'm not spending his money. His money's not going into my bank.
The reason why, because sometimes, not in every case, but sometimes money does imply who you are as who you are and what your intentions are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you gave your opinion, and I feel like a lot of it I do agree with. In my opinion, I genuinely do believe though that the 200 million is something that at that time he thought was so astronomical that
he was trying to price
himself out the fight. But I genuinely now believe that he's put himself in a position where that 200 million has now become realistic.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for you to say no when he actually offers you 200 million.
Yeah.
And for me, where I thought he definitely was looking at pricing himself out of the fight and it wasn't negotiations was when he said, I'm not doing business with Turkey.
Yeah.
Now he is doing business with Turkey. I'm thinking, cool, maybe this guy was just playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah, I mean, he does tend to burn bridges though, Canelo. Like, not burn bridges maybe, but he's too big financially to burn bridges, but
I know what you mean.
He does want, like when Benavidez said, he was with Al Heyman. Yeah, for like one fight, he does these one fight.
He'll go Al Heyman.
Yeah,
Eddie Hearn said that
it's not a thing of if Canelo signs with
Turkey
boxer, let's say, it doesn't mean Buatsi gets a Canelo fight. That's not what it means, because it's not like any other boxers where you're going to sign a multi-fight deal. You're locked in. That's not. Do you mean Canelo's a free agent? He moves around. You can't count on him in that way.
You don't sell him opponents.
Exactly.
You sell him fights.
Exactly.
And you just find the opponent after.
That's what I'm saying.
When Eddie Hearn offered him that deal, and I don't think John Ryder was part of the deal.
Right. That's what I said.
50 million for a fight.
Benavidez is like a little bit wrong for going, sick, he signed to Al Heyman, safe. That makes a fight more likely to happen. It really don't. It don't really make it any more likely than it was before. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is with Canelo.
1,000,000%. What does a win over Morrell do for Benavidez' career, if anything?
Like we said, the win will be a good win. It will get better as time goes on.
Yeah.
Morrell will go on to beat the Buatsis and the Yards and these types of guys and the other 175s. He'll go on to beat those guys. And as he does, that will just add more and more stock to Benavidez. Do you know what I mean? And Benavidez needs and has had a lot of the fans advocating for him. A lot of people outside the Canelo fans are advocating for him to get that Canelo fight. In fact, again, that's only the fight that they'll want to see. Like, man are not going to want to watch him fight Buatsi.
But some people are saying, for me, if Benavidez wins, the fight I want to see him in is the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol. If he's ready for that. That's a good point.
That's a big jump.
That is a big jump. But if you look at 75, who else would there be for him to fight?
I don't know that. I think that Morrell probably beats Buatsi and Yard and those guys, but there's just, I think, one more fight at 175 before he goes in there.
But Benavidez, we already know, the WBC have said, the winner of Bivol versus Beterbiev has to fight David Benavidez. Neither Bivol nor Beterbiev are going to duck that fight.
No.
Neither of them will duck that fight because they're just not that type of people.
Yeah.
So Benavidez then has the decision, am I going to enforce the mandatory? I genuinely think he does. My question to you is, I feel like he will lose to Beterbiev and Bivol.
I have to see how much these fights take out of them, but yeah, as it stands right now, especially my boy Beterbiev, who I backed in the first fight and I'm back again in the second fight. But like, yeah,
I think he's got a better chance of beating
Beterbiev than he does against Bivol.
No, I think he has a better chance of beating Bivol than Beterbiev.
Yeah,
you can't stand in the pocket against Beterbiev; you get knocked out.
Yeah,
Bivol, you might be able to outwork him.
And Bivol lost the first fight, albeit very, very close. If he loses the second fight, there's a there's now a blueprint. We still don't have a blueprint of how to beat Beterbiev. We
you have a blueprint of how to go the distance, which he can't replicate.
And that's against pound for pound one of the greatest fighters of this generation.
Do you know why it's so peak? Because if Bivol beats Beterbiev, it's even worse for Benavidez, because you can't do what Bivol done against Beterbiev. And even if you did what Beterbiev done against Bivol, it still wasn't good enough to win. So I feel like he beating Morrell, I think you're right. It ages his legacy more and his status more. But what it doesn't do, and I think this is the most unfortunate thing, is it doesn't prepare him for Beterbiev. It doesn't prepare him for Bivol. And he will get a lot of adulation immediately, specifically if he wins in a good fashion. If he doesn't win in a good fashion, that's a different story. But if he wins in a good fashion, 1,000,000% will age well. But what I feel like it won't do is I feel like because that's his next fight, Bivol Beterbiev will be his next fight. He can't duck that fight. You can't chase Canelo then duck those guys. I just don't think that helps him.